Hey everybody, my name is Brian Rose and I serve in the School of Business Career Services office as the Associate Director for Career Education. As you can see today, we're talking about the VCU Business Major and Career Assessment. And before we get started, be sure to pull up this assessment document. If your document doesn't look like this, you pulled up the wrong one. Please don't have the scoring document up yet. We'll just focus on the assessment portion now. I'll let you know when to pull up the scoring document. So before we get going, I do want to give you some insight here as to what we're doing on this recording. Really what this recording is trying to do is it's trying to mimic you being in the classroom with me. So a lot of times I'll facilitate this assessment, in a classroom or in another setting, and I'll be able to walk the people through completing the assessment so they complete it accurately. You technically don't need me to walk you through it if you're reading every piece of the instructions properly and interpreting them well and thoughtfully. You can complete it by yourself, no problem, and your results will be accurate. It's just helpful to have me walk you through it. So before we get started, I do want to set this assessment up just slightly. I created this assessment for two main reasons. One, I wanted an assessment that was free, that students could complete, and they would get similar insight as to sitting down for a career exploration appointment with a business career coach. So we do a lot of career exploration appointments with business foundation students. We also do them with students who've declared their major as well. But particularly with business foundation students, we do a lot of figuring out what their interests and passions and motivators are in order to decide upon a major. And so we have, as career coaches, we have all this data and information and all this sorts of stuff in our head. And so what I wanted is to create an assessment that is essentially all of that research and all of that information that you could take and get feedback on what your major should be potentially, and subsequently what your career should be. The second thing is one thing I think is important to realize and discuss is you're going to be working really hard as you go through your business foundation curriculum. In order to declare your major, you got to have a 2.5 after the 54 credits that you're taking. You're going to be taking econ and accounting and a few other business courses, and I want you to have a light at the end of the tunnel. I want you to have a purpose, an understanding of why am I going to be working this hard? Why am I going to get this 2.5 plus? Why am I going to take these business foundation curriculum? It's not just because our graduates average 53,000, which is really high for entry-level roles, and some of them get $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 salaries in entry-level roles, right? Getting a business degree is really quality, but I also want you to know the purpose of why this major, why this degree, and have that light at the end of the tunnel to be motivated to get that 2.5, to be motivated to work hard in these business classes, because based off this assessment or based off a conversation with a business career coach, you're like, I didn't know what supply chain was, but I now know what supply chain is, and that's what I want to do. So I'll kind of stop setting things up here, and hopefully that kind of provides some insight as to what this assessment is for and hopefully what it helps you do. All right, so we'll go ahead and dive in. Again, make sure you have this assessment document pulled up. So this assessment is designed to evaluate career interests, top skills, and primary motivators in order to narrow down VCU business academic majors that could be a fit for you. This assessment is meant to be debriefed with your VCU business career coaches and academic advisors. So we'll go ahead and jump in and start with section 1, which is interests. Let me zoom out just a little bit. So to boil down what the interest section is, just think about it as I am interested in blank. I am interested in doing blank day to day in a role. So you're going to look at these as groupings, not just singular words or singular kind of phrases here, but you're looking at these as groupings. So for example, if you read this grouping, use of technology, managing people and resources, and analyzing systems and procedures, if those things sound interesting to you, which again you're looking at this as a grouping, then this might be one of your top 4 that you put in here. So there's 11 groupings, and you're going to choose the 4 groupings that you feel like match your interest the most. Make sense? So again, look at these as groupings. As I say groupings 1,000 times, look at these as groupings and choose the 4 that you feel match your interests in a career the most. And then from there, make sure that you put the number 1 ranking here, 2, 3, and 4. These points are important as they decide at the end what is the number one major we suggest for you. So make sure you choose the 4 that seem to match the most, and then within those 4, rank which are the top and which is the least of interest within those 4. And go ahead and pause this so you can complete it, and then we'll resume. Whenever you're ready, you can hit play again on this recording. All right, so you've hit play now, and so you should see something like this, right? So K really spoke to me, C spoke to me, J and I. K spoke to me the most, C the second most, J the third most, and I the fourth most. So you should all have a ranking that looks like this. I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but throughout the presentation, I am going to go ahead and tell you to pause in order to fill things out and do things yourself, and then you can hit play again and keep going. So next section here, we have skills. So the best way to think about this skills section is, you'll see this right here. I am best at blank, and I hope to utilize blank in my career. So listen to this before you get going. So it's important to realize that, like, data analysis here, right? You might have taken a statistics class, or might have taken a class that, like, you're already good at data analysis. But for some of you, you're like, I don't really know exactly what it is yet, but I know that I want to do it. So you can still choose that skill, right? You don't have to have the skill right now to choose it. So it's either this is a skill I'm best at right now and really like utilizing, or it's, hey, I don't really have this skill yet, but I know for sure that I like to utilize it in my career. So what you're going to do is you're going to read through the 30 skills here, and then you're going to choose the 6 that you feel, after you read through them quickly, you're going to go back through and choose the 6 that you feel represent your current skills the most, and or the skills that you hope to utilize in your career the most. So go ahead and pause this and choose your skills. All right, so by now your skills should look like this. As you hit resume, 6 of these will have check marks on them. So go ahead and keep going to motivators. Let me zoom out a little bit. So motivators, again, you'll see our favorite term here, the groupings that you'll read these as groupings again, just like interests. The slight difference is the purpose of the motivator section. The way to think about it is blank would make me want to choose a profession and go to work every day. So for example, competition, power and influence, and financial gain, that sounds good. I like that. That makes me want to major in that, and that would make me want to go to work every day. For some other people, it might be helping others, reliable 9-to-5 lifestyle, and power and influence. That would make me want to choose a major, and that would make me want to go to work every day. So again, read through all the groupings real quick, and then come back to it. Choose the 4 that you feel match you the best, and then rank them. Number 1, getting the most points, and 4, getting the least amount of points. So go ahead and hit pause and complete the rankings now. So you've hit play again. Again, your ranking should look something like this. There might be different letters, but this is what I have chosen. So now we're going to exit full screen, and we're going to pull up the scoring. So if you haven't pulled up the scoring, go ahead and pause now and pull up the scoring document so that we can get that done. All right, so if you paused, you're back with us. If you didn't have to pause, great job, you already had it up. Either way, what we're going to go ahead and do is start with the interest and motivators scoring, and then we'll come back to skills. So we want to go back over to here, make sure we go back up to the interest section and start with interests. So we have K, C, J, I in that order. K gets 4, C gets 3 points, J gets 2 points, I gets 1 point. So I'm going to come back down to this box here, and this is where we're putting all of our points in. So your interests, skills, motivators. So right now we're doing interests. K gets 4 points, as we talked about. C gets 3 points in the interests. J gets 2 points. And I get 1 point. K, C, J, I. Perfect. Check your work. Make sure it's right. These points really matter. So K was ranked number 1 and got 4. C was ranked number 2 and got 3. Risk management insurance, J was ranked 3rd, got 2 points. In real estate, got 1. So then we'll go to motivators. We'll skip skills for now and go to motivators. J, K, C, I. J gets 4, K gets 3, C gets 2, I gets 1 yet again. So J will go ahead and give you 4 points, K gets 3, C gets 2, and real estate with 1 point again. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and pause this and complete your interest in motivators scoring and take those points from the assessment and pull them over to this master scoring list. All right, so your interest in motivators should be scored by now. Now we're going to move to skills. So what we want to do with our skills section is we want to come down here. It looks way busier and way more intimidating than it actually is. So what you want to make sure that you do in order to essentially recheck what you checked in the assessment is you're going to go over here and you're going to look down on this first column. Okay, creative thinking, mathematical analysis, teamwork. Okay, check, check, check. All right, I've rechecked that. Then the next column, we have oral communication and statistics. Okay, sweet, oral communication statistics. I've rechecked that. Fantastic. And then my last column, I have data analysis. I'm going to go ahead and recheck that. So now we don't have to go back to the assessment. We're just solely here on the scoring sheet. So one thing to realize is 2 things. These skills are mainly associated with the following majors, not solely. And also each skill isn't just linked to one major. So it's important to realize we have to use a tally system in order to fill this out properly. So for example, I have creative thinking. A gets 1. B gets 1, C gets 1, E gets 1, oh, no it doesn't, mess that up, scratch that, A gets 1, B gets 1, F gets 1, H gets 1 tally, I gets 1 tally, and J gets 1 tally. As you saw, it's sort of easy to mess up if you try and go too fast, and also if you feel pressure while you're recording yourself. So make sure you just take a second to make sure you're putting everything in the right place. We'll do one more together, and then we'll pause and have you do it by yourself. All right, mathematical analysis. We got 1 point here. For A, C, we get 1 point. D gets 1 point. And then K, we got 1 point as well. So go through the others, and I'll go through my others as well. So make sure you go through each skill and score it properly and put a little tally mark in each box. So go ahead and pause now and complete your skills tallies. All right, so my skills tally is done. And so now that you have the skills tally done, you can now solely focus on finalizing the scoring. So all you got to do is make the total score for each box. We'll start with that. So accounting gets 4, economics gets 2, finance we're now at 6, financial technology we got 3, 0 for HR, 3 for IS, 0 for management, 3 for marketing, 3 for real estate. We have 7 for risk management insurance. We have 7 plus 4, which is 11, because Brian's good at math, for schema, also known as supply chain. So now that we have our final scores, we can actually use this final ranking box. So K got 11 points. Then the next, I think, is J with 7. And then we have finance, it looks like, got 6. And then our next is actually accounting, which didn't get any points from interest and motivators, but got 4 from skills. And we got 4 here. So go ahead and pause to put in your total scores for each major so that you can then fill out your final ranking box. And then we can do the fun part, actually read about these majors and reflect a little bit. So as you're looking at your final score, before we read about the majors, it's important to realize that the highest point total that you can get for a major is 14 points. That would mean that your interest section, that major got 4 points. For the motivators, that major got 4 points. And then all of your 6 skills tallies were associated with that major. So the most points you can get for a major is 14. So it's important to realize that typically your top major is probably going to be anywhere between 8 and like 12 points. That's what's most normal. If anything's above 10, that probably means like, hey, it's a really strong indicator that like you're very interested in that type of work. So you really need to consider and read more about that specific major. So what we're going to do is now we're going to take a look at this next page here that describes each major. And so this is what's going to help with ties. So let's say if you have a couple things that have like 8 points, read the description for the major and then decide which one you feel most connected to or most interested in. And let's say, you know, J and C both had 7 points. I would just rank them accordingly after the fact of which I feel like, you know, most connected to, if that makes sense. So you kind of break your own ties. So what I want you to go ahead and do as I zoom out a little bit is look at this second page. This second page is essentially, you know, a brief description of each major. And let me go to full screen mode to make it easier to see, hopefully. So this is just a brief description of each major, and it's going to give you a really solid idea of just in general what this person who chooses this major likes to do and what this major is all about. So make sure you take a look at these descriptions, read a little bit more about them. Again, break your own ties based off of how connected you feel to these descriptions. So again, after reading these descriptions, come back up here. If you need to, break your own ties. If not, we'll keep going. So these descriptions should illuminate to you a little bit about what the field is and why you maybe got paired with that. And hopefully these descriptions make you say, oh yeah, no wonder I got supply chain first, right? That sounds awesome. Or for this student that's scoring up there, risk management insurance got second. I didn't even know risk management insurance was an industry or major. That sounds really cool. I do value stability and consistency. You know, I do want to problem solve for large organizations, you know, whatever. So hopefully you might see yourself within these descriptions. That's the hope. And then on the third page here, we list different job titles within each major. So if you want to take it to the next phase is, okay, so I got supply chain first. Awesome. Well, let me read more about the field in general, and also here are the most common entry-level jobs for this specific major. So I'm going to, you know, Google them, you know, take a look, read about them as kind of the next phase of my reflection and thought process of, do I seem to, you know, have some sort of interest, not just in the field and major in general, but do these jobs sound interesting to me? So if you're watching this, your next steps are going to vary a little bit. So if this is for a class or something like that, your instructor is going to facilitate some debrief conversation and activity after you completed this assessment. So the important thing with this is no matter why you're completing it, please do save your assessment and please do save your scoring. Put it in a folder somewhere you're not going to lose so that you can actually refer to it later. So again, please save the assessment and please do save the scoring in places that you can easily locate it. So again, if you completed this for a class, your instructor is likely going to facilitate a reflection activity following this assessment, whether you're completing it on your own or maybe this recording is happening in class. After this recording, you're going to have some sort of debrief together. The next reason you might have found this as a resource on Handshake, and so there's no real class tied to it, you're just doing it on your own, and that's fantastic too. Please do consider meeting with a business career services coach. This is when we take appointments. In the virtual environment, we are on Zoom and phone, so please do, within Handshake, sign up with a business career coach so we can debrief this with you and help with you in anything in regards to career at all as well. So if this is for a class too, we'd love to talk to you as well, but especially for the people who are just completing this on their own, who might not be debriefing in a class at all, you know, please do, you know, speak with us. And so bottom line, you know, look at your top 4, take a look at their descriptions, and whether you're going to debrief in class or not, or whether you're going to debrief this with a career services professional or not, or business career services professional or not, ask yourself some questions. How does this description, you know, fit my interests? How does it not fit my interests? And what questions do I have now that I've gotten these results? right? Those three questions. How does this fit my interest? 2, what are the ways that this maybe doesn't fit my interest? And 3, what are the questions I now have about these majors now that I know that they exist and now that I know that I likely should consider one of these 4? So thanks for being with us today. Again, my name is Brian Rose with Business Career Services. If you remember nothing else from this presentation, remember nothing else from this walkthrough, just know that we in Business Career Services care a lot about you. We just want to help you be successful. So hopefully this assessment was really helpful to give you an idea of what to major in. And again, all I hope for this is to give you a light at the end of the tunnel and understand this is why I'm going through this business foundation curriculum. This is why I'm going to get that 2.5 or higher. And this is why I'm going to go through all these business classes and do a great job in them because I want to major in blank. So just hit my desk there. My hands are talking for me. Either way, thanks so much for the time today and have a good one.